Hey everybody, it's Lynette with EiKO, and today I'm going to walk you through very quickly how to program and pre-commission our network lighting controls. Now, best practice is to do this on a website prior to actually going out to the job site and doing the commissioning. Now, you can 100% do this on what I would say on the fly, meaning when you actually are installing the products. However, if you can do a little bit of pre-planning and a little bit of thinking about what you want each room and each zone to do, it speeds up the commissioning process just a little bit more when you actually go out to the job site. Now, when you do go to the job site, you are going to need some sort of iOS device. It could be an iPad. An iPhone's a little small, but I suppose if it's a small project, you could probably work on that and do just fine. However, usually an iPad is best. However, for the pre-planning, the pre-commissioning, you just need to have an internet connection, okay? Because it's just a website. So what you're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So share screen, and we'll move some of this stuff over so you don't get too distracted with all this other stuff. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to go to silvair.com. That is the backbone of our network lighting controls. If you have not already logged in, you're going to want to log in. Additionally, you're also going to want to download the Silvair app onto your iPad. But for right now, today, all you need is just a login to the website. So silvair.com, click login. You're going to go ahead and register if you already don't have a username and password. I already have one, so immediately it takes me to my projects. You're going to notice I have about 4 different projects in here. This is the one that I'm actually going to be using today, but just so that I can start fresh so you guys can see what I am doing, I'm going to remove that test site and I'm going to start from scratch. So the first thing you want to do is create your project, and you're going to do that by clicking on the lower right-hand corner and name your project. Now, this is usually the building or the company. So if it's ABC customer or XYZ, blah, 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 whatever, just fill in the project name. So in this case, I'm going to call it test site 1. And then you're also going to choose your time zone and you're going to hit create. At this point, I now have my project in here called test site 1. You're going to first of all click on test site 1 and you are going to have to create your area. So there, you're going to notice you don't have any areas. So an area would typically be a first floor, second floor, third floor, maybe a warehouse, maybe it's a parking lot, maybe it's a parking garage. Typically, if you're doing a bunch of offices, I would just say like first floor, second floor. It's kind of hard to do an area for every single one. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I find it a little bit more simplistic to just create floors in those type of office type environments. So anyways, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the lower right-hand corner, click on the plus button. My first area is going to be called first floor. And then what I'm also going to do is upload either a JPEG, a PNG, or a PDF file. Now, you don't have to do this, but it makes it much easier to kind of get your bases as far as where the different offices are located. Now, I realize that a lot of times we may not have a CAD drawing. I realize that we may not have a lighting layout. We may not have something like that. You can always just take a picture sometimes too of the evacuation plan. But if you're not there on the job site, which is exactly why we're going through this, you could, if you wanted to, just draw something very quickly. And the way that you can do that is by simply opening up a Word document, go to a blank document, and then go over to the draw. It's about the 4th one in from the end. You can choose any of these markers and you can actually like kind of do like a rough drawing of that space. So again, this is first floor. So let's just say first floor looks something like this. Okay, so I've got maybe an office there. Maybe I have another office here. Maybe there's another small office there. Maybe a hallway with a big conference room here. Maybe another hallway and maybe another office right there. Okay, very fast, very quick. I get it, right? And you can label these if you want to, but this is kind of gives me the basics. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to convert this to a PDF. So you can do that by either going print to PDF, or you can do save as Adobe PDF. So first of all, you have to save it as a regular document. So I'm just going to call it doc1. That's fine. And then what I'm going to do is it's going to open up and say, hey, it's time for you to save this as a PDF. And I'm going to call it test site 1. And I want to make sure I save this to my desktop so that I don't lose it, because we all know how that goes, right? So this one here is on my desktop, and I'm just going to hit save. It's going to take a second to convert that to a PDF, but now I have a PDF of a generic kind of first floor. Kind of gives me an idea of what I'm working with, right? So I'm going to want to close that, and then you are back to your internet website here, the silvair.com, and you are going to click on upload image, and you're going to go out and you're going to grab that PDF that you just made. All right. And what did that do? Take maybe 45 seconds, and then you're going to hit the create button. So now you have your first floor. And when you click on your first floor, it is going to come up with exactly what you just drew. Very simple, very easy. Again, it can be a picture. It can be whatever you want it to be. This is the quick way to do it if you don't have any of those fancy images, right? So just to say that this is your first office, this is your first area, this is your first zone. Maybe you have 5 or 6 or 4 fixtures in there. Maybe you have a sensor. Maybe you have a switch in there too. Either way, this is your first area. So I'm going to click right there in that first area, and I'm going to call it Office 1. And now you're going to notice that we have these preloaded profiles that are in here. Don't pay attention so much to the name, conference room, open office, break room. Pay attention more to what it's saying as I hover over it. So this first one is vacancy sensing with daylight harvesting. Next one's occupancy sensing with daylight harvesting. Well, if you aren't using daylight harvesting and you don't need daylight harvesting, these first two don't apply. Maybe in your case, you just have only vacancy sensing, or maybe you only have occupancy sensing, or maybe you don't have any sensor. In that case, it might be manual control, right? So there's these different types of settings that are already preloaded. Now in this particular room, I'm just going to say that I have it set up, or I want to set it up as vacancy sensing. So I have a switch in there, and I also have a sensor, and I'm going to set it up as vacancy sensing. So this P3 break room actually does the trick for me. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on this little pencil, all right, to edit that break. The reason I do that is because I want to make sure it has the settings that I want it to have. So when I mean that is you obviously have something in mind. You kind of know what you want your system to do. So when somebody walks in the space, what do you want those light fixtures to do once, again, this is vacancy sensing, once they push that switch, and they turn the lights on, what do you want those lights to do? Well, I want them to immediately go up to 100% brightness, and I want them to stay at 100% brightness for 10 minutes. If there's no motion at all in that 10 minutes, then after a set period of time, after a period of time, I want them to, for another 5 minutes, dim down to 50%. So they're going to stay at for 10 minutes, they're going to stay at 100% brightness. If there's no motion, they're going to dim down for 50 to 50% for 5 minutes. And then after another, let's say 10 seconds, they're going to turn off. All right. So that's basically what I want those fixtures to do in that space. Additionally, this is also where you can set your high and low end trim. So if you never want those fixtures to ever turn off, you can set your low end trim to say be 20%, 25%. And if you want your high end trim to be less than 100%, you would choose 80%. That's actually where it's set. In my case, I actually want those to be at 100%. So I'm going to change it to 100%. You can also do your power up behavior there. So if the fixtures lose power, what do you want them to do? Do you want to keep light off? Do you want to restore to their, level, whatever they were at when they went out? Or do you want it to go to a defined level? You've got options there. You can choose whatever you want it to be. And then if you are using a switch, this is your manual override. So if you program your switch to be something different than what you see here, it will manually override these settings for 10 minutes. And the way that you can create your different scenes is you go over to the scenes tab and you hit enable, and then you can change what your scene A and your scene B looks like. So scene A is usually the top toggle, and scene B is the bottom button, the bottom toggle. Anytime you have a switch that has that top and bottom, the top one's always on, the bottom one's always off. And if you press and hold down, it's going to dim the light fixtures down. If you press and hold the button up, it'll dim up. If you choose to do something different, this is where you would do that. Normally, I don't do that with this type of vacancy sensing scenario. All right, and then you hit save. So you just now pre-planned out what you want those fixtures and those sensors to do in that office. All right, and then all you do is you just keep going around. So this is maybe office number 2. Profile, maybe it's the exact same one that you just did. If so, you're going to pick P3 break room, and you're going to notice when I hit on that little pencil, all my savings that I just did, all my settings are exactly the same. So you don't have to keep going through and redoing those. P3 is now saved to exactly what P3 was used for in office number 1. All right, maybe office number 3 is something different. I don't know, maybe it's vacancy sensing with daylight harvesting. Again, you would click on that. You would click on the little pencil, verify your settings are accurate the way that you want them to be, and you hit the save button. And then, yeah, you just continue to work your way around. So you've got all these little blue blue dots, right? You just did all the pre-commissioning, all the pre-planning. So you are done at this point. You can close out of this website. And now what you would do is you would come over to your iPad. So let me go ahead and take this off of here. Hang on one second. Let me go back out to the main. Let me take my screen off of here so you guys can see me. I just have to do a little bit of finagling here. So let's do stop share, and I will show you on my, this probably won't turn out the greatest because my light's probably going to glare a little bit. But now what you're going to do is you're going to go to the job site. Okay. When you're on the job site, you're going to have an internet connection, right? You're going to get onto your iPad. You're going to open up the Silver app that you downloaded. Okay. And now you're going to notice, and I know you can't see this, but there is actually one that says test site number 1. And I'm going to click on test site number 1. It's going to bring up the exact same thing that I just worked on that website, right? So now when you do that, you're going to click on it and you're going to then click on the little blue boxes. You can kind of see, all right, so this was office number 1. I'm going to click on that and it's going to say, well, you don't have any devices in here. Of course we don't, because we haven't found those devices yet. So all you're going to do is in the lower right-hand corner, there's another little blue plus button. You're going to hit that blue plus button and you're going to find all of those fixtures, all the sensors, anything that's part of that room, you'll find. Now you keep in mind, you may also pick up fixtures from the office next door and the office down the road. If that happens, there is a little bar at the bottom that you can finagle down a little bit so you don't pick up so many of those wireless devices. But if you do find them, and they will blink at you when you find them, you can move them into whatever office they belong in. Once you're done with that, you're done commissioning. So it makes it really cool. All right, very easy if you do that pre-planning. Also, might I add too, is I was going to grab this and I forgot. Give me 2 seconds because I've got it right. I thought I had one over here, but I guess I don't. The other thing I just wanted to comment on is when you are trying to find, say, an Ocean wireless rocker pad, it may look something like this one here. Grab it quick. Here, I'm back. It might look something like this one here. When you go to find this, let's say that you have this in one of your offices, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on one of the fixtures that you found and added to that zone. And then you're going to have a little drop down below where you open up the fixture, you'll see it. It'll say Ocean. You're going to click on the Ocean, and then it's going to ask you for this little, to take a little picture of this. Your iPad will tell you. It'll say, hey, I got to find this particular switch. So you'll take a picture of it here, and it will automatically get put into that specific zone. So I could go on and on. I didn't want this to be very long, so I figured this would be a good starting point. But this is a great way to get started. Give it a whirl. I think you're really going to like it, and it'll speed up the time that you have to be on the job site trying to commission much more quickly. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching this.